All right. Welcome, guys. My name is Marceline. I've been uh, working with students for last so many years and so many sessions, I believe. Uh, I'm sure you'll have gone through everything. Sorry. Before I go on, um, I think I've shared the slides with the CS Sri Lanka onto their link, so they would post it. It's not nice for me to send it across to you all, so they will be sending it across. So probably if you could make a request from them, they would share it. I just loaded for the PDF version to them. And also, could you please confirm whether you could hear me clearly?
Yes, sir,
Right,
we can hear you. We can hear
right.
you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Right, fine. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your reply. I would love to see this kind of a conversation on the chat box at least. When if you need to hear, if you want to clarify certain things, have that conversation on. Right. So my duty going to be is to have two sessions with you all, uh, giving you all a overbrief of a recap of this strategic management, which is the fundamental course of the syllabus for your case study. And so what I'm going to do is like I'm not going to give you any solutions. Remember that, because for a case we can't give any solutions because it's a open case. Yeah, and this time we have 23 pages to read, so it's a fantastic case. Yeah, so very interesting case. We will work on certain things. So my this session, I'm trying to plan to work up to a certain point where the strategic position level. I'm going to give you all some kind of a indication, things that you all should have done by this time. Yeah. So if you are not done, I would urge you all to do it. And probably when I meet you all on Sunday, probably we could have a little bit more discussion on getting prepared for it. Yeah. I my personal advice, I always say that in every session I do, don't go with a blocked framework in your mind. Yeah. So probably you all would have identified uh, who this representative case is, which company, where they are located, what, and so forth. But I would suggest just read. Don't try to conclude anything in your mind. Okay, read and understand the essentials of the case. Read and understand the essential of the market. Read and understand how this case has been developed and where this might head. So keeping that in mind, uh, I'm sure you have gone through this 10 topics your case has been built on. A very diverse, interesting. I was uh, I was amused by this number of pages to be read. Interesting. But then, if you really break it down to see, there is a story which they are trying to do. Um, I'm going to put. I always put myself as a student when I read the case. Yeah. So for me as a student, what I'm getting is like, uh, okay, this company is uh, you have two companies in action. One is a consultancy company, and other one is a company which is involved in uh, dairy products. Uh, and the company which is involved in dairy product is almost operating on a stagnant market. Yeah, a stagnant market. 78% uh, of their requirement is already been covered, and 2030 they are expecting that to be fulfilled. So they are already operating on a stagnant market. Yeah. So the growth, what they could expect with their market share, where they have their the government sponsored company operating at around 50%, and they are working on a more of a oligopolistic market. So probably they are looking for more expansion in that sense. Yeah. Uh, you know, the case is mixed with the Sri Lankan market conditions. Sri Lankan market, in headings, they talk about the Sri Lankan conditions, and then they move on to the other countries and so forth, and talking about where they could get more, where the main the milk producers around in the Asia, and the story is quite big. If you go to the fundamentals of the strategic management, yeah, strategic management is all about gearing yourself to grow. It's all about how you could make use of the opportunity what is available in the market, how you can use your strength and get the best out of the opportunity what you see in the market, and how do you grow from X to 2X, or whatever the numbers that you're looking at. Yeah. So you work on your vision, work on your mission. That has always I've been criticizing about, the case does not cover vision, but fortunately this case has some kind of a understanding. Former cases, you don't see much of this vision story talking about, but yeah, this case, we have certain vision ideas been on, and good that this case also covers a little bit of a sustainability with new technology. Um, this talks about going into similar kind of into another same business, similar business, into ice cream, into Frostbite. Yeah. It talks about maybe going into overseas market, probably targeting Sri Lanka. It's the way this is been built. As a student, that's what I said. I look at a case in a overall perspective, right? So probably that's going to be my thinking, and probably the story tells. That's why I wanted these topics to be here, so that you would understand, like, okay, we are talking about prime grow SOVI, then we know what they are meaning. Then rest of the story is being built on certain elements in between, mixing up with certain organizations into the certain industries, into certain nitty-gritty part of the daily life, the cost breakdown of the production of maintenance of a cow, and every single aspect is giving you certain indications. Yeah. On the operational perspective, on the business aspect of it, as well as at the corporate level. Yeah. So even they have given a topic on corporate strategy also, right? Which is pretty interesting. To see how they worked on. So keeping that in mind, just hang on for a minute, guys. Yeah, just hang on for a minute, 1 minute. Sorry, guys, I need to take that call. Bit of a urgent. Right. Okay. Sorry. So that's the entire a case in a nutshell. To look at. So I'm not gone into the financial element, which I will not be touching in any way. So looking at the strategical perspective, what they want to do, how you could manage them. So probably you might have to do a little bit more detailed analysis, getting more information, probably into a little bit different countries, giving certain information what they are looking at. So probably they are looking at Sri Lankan perspective as a context, looking at the Bangladeshi context, looking at the certain amalgamation, certain acquisition, in different perspectives. So where they could grow, and maybe that's a market that they could look into if the expansion is not going to work. So if you look at your market, on your ANSOF metric, on your corporate level, if you're looking at, are you going to work on market penetration, which you have already probably number 2 player in the market, where already 50% has been taken by the government sponsored organization, where you could grab a little bit more onto the market situation. That's an option that you have to work things out. Probably if you're looking at new product development, you have already touched certain things, and you have some hot water in your hand. The confidence level, you need to re-establish yourself. You have spent a couple of million, not couple of million, hundreds of $100 million, 100 millions of Bangladeshi takas to cover or extend, bring the market confidence back again. So you're onto the same market. You're trying to work on a product development strategy, which is not very conducive what you have done. So probably you might have to work certain things out, or you're looking at an option where, since by 2030 your market is going to be fulfilled, sustained, there is no market element to grow. Probably you are looking something outside, which is a possibility, yeah, which is a possibility to move out, and talking, or the case talks more of Sri Lankan context, looking at covering 60% of the market is not being serviced, but then there are new entrances have made arrangements. They have come in in Amul and Cargill's per se. So there are the market situation, market knowledge is being spread on. You could see from the case, like how things are moving on. So then, what do you do? Yeah. Or do you have an option of working on diversification? Anything going into a new market with a new product? Totally. Certain options have been challenged. Certain options have been spoken about. So these are the things that you have in your mind, and then work accordingly. Yeah. So do not try to block yourself into 1-2 options. Crank yourself into that area, and then when you see the unseen, you don't need to get a shock. Yeah. So that's why I always say, look at the overall perspective, look at the helicopter view, look at the bigger picture, look at the way that way the options that you can create for you to grow, right? So that's the background that I would love you to have it in mind when you approach this case. I'm sure your tutors, your tuition masters, they've done a wonderful job. There's no second question about it. They are given you plenty of options. I'm sure they also would have that the same mind what I'm talking about, not to close anything off. Yeah, probably they have worked certain scenarios, but then you need to see and have an open mind. Have all these options in your mind. Yeah, that's my request to go off. Right. Okay, let's move on. So now this is what I said. If you're looking at your strategic management per se, right? You're looking at where you are now, the strategic position of an organization. We'll understand what the strategic position means. Yeah. And then with that situation, you need to make certain choices. Yeah. You need to make certain choices for the future. Yeah, that's where you're looking at to grow. So you have two companies of thinking of where they want to grow. And then you need to implement that into action. So this ideally sets into this particular case as well very nicely, isn't it? Yeah. When you really think of it. When you move on, as I said earlier, the three areas, yeah, the strategic position, the strategic choices, and strategy in action. Yeah. So that's set in that corporate strategy model of Johnston, Britton, and Scholes, which is your one of the core books that you'll read. That element is being captured, right? So your strategic position covers your environment, your capabilities. Environment, you are looking at externally. Capability, you are looking internally. Purpose, you are looking at your vision and mission, your culture within yourselves to understand who you are, where you are, what you do, which point you stand. That's something on that nature. Yeah. Then the choices that you make, right? At the business level, at the corporate level, at the international level, the innovations, the valuation, the choices, how do you make? Yeah. Then once you make those choices, then you need to put it into action. When you put it into action, is there a structural change that you need to go through? Is there a practices that you need to change? Is there a resourcing that you need to allocate differently? So you'll be going through, you'll be asking many questions. Yeah. Whether how do I implement it? How do I work this out? How do I get this on? What is that I'm going to give it to my customers in the new way? How I'm going to work out my revenue to go up? How I'm going to capture my market share? How I'm going to increase my market share? How do I work on these things? Yeah. So with all those things that you need to implement, right? This is where a lot of organizations make the mistake of not implementing what they have decided. Yeah. So you need to have an implementation plan to move on. So that's gives you that particular model how it works. So if you look at the strategic position, I always say when we are doing these, the strategic management per se, we fundamentally need to ask like 3 questions. Number 1, where are we now? Yeah, where are we now? Then we talk about what do you like, where do you want to go? Yeah, that's our future plan. On which basis that I'm going to work off with. How I'm going to where I'm going to position myself, where I'm going to go. In a sense, like if I'm looking at how do I grow, or how much to grow, where to grow, with all those questions, if I'm going to put myself, where do I want to go? Then how do I go? Now that's your strategy part. That's how you need to decide on the basis of like how you are going to reach that particular destination. Now we have which you have decided by looking at yourself, where do you currently stand and where do you want to go in the future. Yeah. So for that, for you to understand like where are you standing currently, now that's where you are looking at this strategic position. So strategic position fundamentally covers your external environment. Yeah. What are the elements that's going to have an impact on your external environment. Yeah. Then what are the elements within yourself, within your organization internally, would have an impact on where you want to go, how you're going to go there, that the strategy aspect of it. Yeah. Then we need to take into consideration the expectations and how your stakeholders can influence. We have been seeing certain elements in the case already. They're talking about different stakeholders. Yeah. Different stakeholders within the organization and different stakeholders outside the organization. Yeah. So that they're looking at people, how the stakeholders could have a impact. You could see when there was a formulation error in the product what they made, how it has backfired through the external consumers who was taking them into task. Like, now these are the elements that you would see why you should be taking into consideration of the stakeholders' point of view as well. Yeah. So stakeholders including your shareholders. So on a strategic position, as I said, like, we'll be covering these 4 areas. So we'll try to quickly cover these areas to move on with. Then you come to choices. You need to make, you're going to make some choices with whatever the information that you have, with whatever the details that you have seen with. So you have understood, as I said, 3 questions, like, where you stand. Yeah. Where are you now? So which is, you are looking at the way of your strategic position. Yeah. So then you are at this particular level. This is where I stand. So when I go and talk about the external perspective, I understand the opportunities and the threats what I get. So for this company, when you break it and see, yeah, break your environment, probably you might have to look at their home country as well as certain host countries that they might have an idea to move in. Yeah. I'm not going to jump the gun and make you to think of certain elements, but then with the information what is provided, the directions could be seen. It's ideally to look at the Sri Lankan market conditions as well, because they are even talking about, where the cattle are grown in Sri Lankan context, how the the higher elevated climate would give them more liters, and the dry zones give them the lower elevated areas, they give them lower liters out of the cattle, and the issues what you have in Sri Lankan context is the high quality cattle, which is not freely available. Conditions such as, because the climatic condition is almost quite similar, and also they are looking at so it's a indication what is been given. So ideally you need to look at the external perspectives of how in Sri Lankan context as well as in Bangladesh context, the home context. Yeah. Home and the host context, like, where are you going to move on? So look at, probably you need to look at certain elements out. Yeah. Involve understanding the underlying base of the future strategy, what you want to do. Then probably at business unit level as well as the corporate level, because we know at the business level, probably when you're looking at, you compete on different perspectives, isn't it? Like, you compete on pricing, you compete on quality, you compete on services, you compete with them in that particular line, which is like based on Porter's generic strategy. right? Or Bauman's clock model, whatever that you're going to make your choice. So that level. And on the corporate level, that's why I touched upon a little bit earlier with the hands-off matrix, the direction that you're going to go. Whether you're planning to stay in the same same market with the same product and do a market penetration, because that is also possible, because we could see the information that you have got is also there is space to improve. There is space to improve. Yeah. Although you're getting on a stagnant market level, the market is big. The volumes are big when you comparatively, when you look at where you want to end up with, right? So and probably you have some established players who are entering into those particular market to work off. Yeah. So these are the things that you need to think of. Probably at the corporate level, you might have to think about, like, the portfolio that you're going to carry on. At the corporate level, that you need to see what you can bite, what you can, what you can manage, right? And at the corporate level, then probably you need to think the way that you're going to grow, whether you're going to grow by yourself, or whether it's going to be a mergers and acquisition, or whether it is going to be a whether it's going to be a strategic alliance that you're going to sign up, different perspectives, right? So the choices that you need to make off with. Then obviously, as I said, the direction that you're going to develop, right? So am I going to grow by myself? I invest, I buy the companies, and I amalgamate with me, or do I make certain mergers, or do I look for entirely different perspective, internationalization, go outside, have a turnkey operation, or maybe I would ask somebody else to operate for me, and I would only make investments to go off with, that kind of a situation. That's your choices that you're going to make. Then, as I said, it can be on the business level, it can be on the corporate level, it can be on the international level, it can be on the innovations, and also your valuation aspect of it. Once you come into that particular area, then what you have to do is, like, you have to put it in action. As I said, a lot of organizations are very good in creating those options, but never want to implement it, or they struggle to implement. So that implementation part, when it does not work properly, then the strategy fails. Yeah, if you don't implement it properly, then it fails. Then you blame the strategy. So strategy is not to be blamed. The management is to be blamed. That's simply because it was not implemented properly. It was not in action properly. Yeah. So that's how it works. Right. So then, do I have to change the structure? Do I have to change the organizational processes? Do I have to change what type of change that I need to make? So on a quick glance, that I need to look at it, right? Few fundamental questions, guys. I'm sure you have seen this prior, or seen the screen before, or seen these questions before. In 3 areas, as we are talking about, okay? The first one, what you are seeing is, like, the strategic position. You're looking at your environmental opportunities and threats, your strengths and weaknesses. So what does it tell us? So OT, SW, it gives you that SWOT. Yeah, that's your strategic position, where you are standing right now. Yeah, what do I have? What do I don't have? What I'm good at? What I'm not so good at? What is the opportunity outside the market? What is that it's hindering me of not moving forward? What's a threat? So these are the questions that you're going to ask. If I bring another person into my organization, will my culture allow that person to settle within the organization, or do I have to change my culture? Now, these are fundamental questions that you need to ask. Like, so you're looking at frostbite, and whether that's, and you could see certain characters over there, want to establish their power, certain perspectives. So whether that culture would fit into our organizations to work things out. So these are fundamental questions that you need to work on. Then the strategic choices, if you see the look at the questions. How should the business unit compete? On what basis they're going to compete? Yeah. On what basis generally the business units compete? They compete on pricing, they compete on quality, they compete on services, they compete on satisfying customers better. What do you do then? You differentiate yourself from others, you give a better pricing for them. You give a, so for the better, if you want to work on a better pricing, then you should be able to manage your processes much less costly than your customers, your competitors. So your competitors might not be able to get that cost advantage what you have. Yeah. So what do we do? Well, how do you work things out? So for that, I need to look at my value chain analysis. That I need to look at my Rio framework to understand where this cost is going, where the cost pool is up. So where then I can look at my profits, how I could increase. Now these are things that you work things out. Yeah. So, and as I said, like you should be able to hold. You must know how much you can carry. You can't be carrying a lot of SBUs which you are not, if you're not familiar with, if you're not comfortable with, so you should know what's your portfolio going to be. So if when you look at the portfolio, when you look at your on a simple portfolio matrix that you work off with is a BCG matrix, which would tell you like how much of problem children that you will have, or the question marks, or the new products that you're going to innovate, you're going to bring into the market, like whether they will shoot like the stars and move up, whether how many stars that you're going to carry. So if I have many stars and many new products or problem children or the question marks there, I must have enough cash cows to manage those. Otherwise I will be struggling. Yeah. Do you have any dogs which I need to kick out? But then I need to ask certain questions before I kick those dogs out. But then so I'll be looking at the business portfolio, like how many SBUs that I can manage. Yeah. How many SBUs that I'm going to create, or how many SBUs that I want to sell off. So how do I manage myself internationally? Is it possible to work internationally? Because on what basis I'm going to work internationally? I'm going to go on a multi-domestic strategy, or international strategy, or the global strategy. How do I'm going to work things out? On what basis I'm going to work things, or just a export strategy that I'm going to work things? So these are fundamental questions that you're going to ask, like when you make the strategic choices, right? So your innovation, yeah, innovation on technology, innovation on bringing new elements in it. So we saw even lately that Sri Lanka went into UHT packs. Yeah. So that's something people might not even realize that it's not Ambewala, or it's not Kotmale who did that at the start. It's a company which has not a very high market share. Yeah. Right. So these are things that that you will be looking at. Then on to strategy in action. You're going to look at on a safe criteria: suitable, acceptable, feasible. Yeah. Whether so with what? With my purpose. So that's why we look at the strategic position. That's why you look at your purpose. Because if it is not going to suit your purpose, then you're not going to take that strategy forward. Yeah. If you have your aim of working certain things, and then you have another way of getting what you want, but then that's not going to work, right? So you need to be aware of that. So now these are certain things that how do I work? How do I get my structures? How do I allocate my resources? How do I make the priorities? So that's what this strategy in action which talks about. Right. So let's quickly go through one by one. I'm not going to cover, I'm not going to drag on because you all know what it is, because I only want you all to want to cover the key elements, okay? Because you all have learned enough. You all, I'm sure you all have enough, much more better information than me in this case, because you all are doing the case, not me. Yeah. So, but then just to remind how you could make use of this. Yeah. How you can get this out. Looking at the macro perspective. Yeah. Look at the industry perspective. Look at the competitor perspective, right? Internally, the getting closer to the organization before you get into the organization. So the macro perspective, two key elements try to understand. Given Pestle, but then people are looking at ScanStep as well. So probably here ScanStep might be suitable in this sense of identifying the little bit better than Pestle, because you're looking at if you're looking at overseas operation, if you're looking at the market expansion to work things out, the security is going to be key. Yeah, security is going to be element, right? So this is very important. Security of your assets, security of your system, security of your payment gateways, security of your formulas, security of lot of things. Yeah, it's pretty important. So there's no much of difference between Pestle and ScanStep. ScanStep, the security element is something outstands than the ScanStep element. Yeah. All what you have to do is like, I'm sure you all know the difference between ScanStep and Pestle. Okay. They broke the social element into social plus culture in ScanStep. Okay. So the C is for cultural aspect of it, the social aspect of it, the authorities. Yeah. So nature, that's how it's quite similar, but then there are few elements. So I thought of taking this the ScanStep element, which is security, which is quite relevant in this particular case also. Yeah. So consider on that particular aspect of it. Yeah. Sticking on to the political perspective, what is the situation in the countries you are going to operate? What is the situation in your home country? How is your relationship? On what basis that you're going to work off with? Are you good with your present situation? Sorry, guys. Present country situation. How does it work? Is there a fair trade agreement? Do you have any agreements that if you're going to look at outside? So do you have enough supporting elements? Are there all these things? Is the market is a conducive market when you move in? Is there an opportunity for you to grab on things? Do you have enough political support? So try and identify and understand what is relevant to the organizations. Yeah. Because when you look at the macro perspective, when you look at the macro elements, it's quite common to everybody. But then why we still try and work what we learned in probably in stage 2 or stage 2 or something like that. Why we bring that element further into the master's level or your level, what you're looking at, is simply because for you to understand like which factor is going to have that big impact on my organization. How do I work around that? How do I get things done? Do I have enough political clout to work things out? What are the relationship my government versus the country which I'm going to operate on? Is there a better relationship? So which would help me to establish very quickly. These are things that you might have to work. Yeah, how is the tariff, how is the taxation going to work? Is the double taxation policy is going to be implemented? How does do I get tax-free element for if I come through a board of investment process? Do I get a tax shield? Now these are the elements that you might have to look at when you're looking, on a holistic picture. Yeah. Looking at your social aspect of it, right? Your demographics. Yeah. What is the population growth? You're looking, for example, in Sri Lankan context, 60% of the we are the number 4 highest powdered milk produce, what do you call, importers. We are only covering 40% of the milk has been covered, but then there is there is a what do you call, informal channel of milk also is happening in Sri Lankan context. So now these are the things that you might have to see. What is the population growth that you would require. Sri Lankan population growth is about 0.78 or 0.8, where you're not going to have a bigger population growth, new population coming in, but there is a market need. About 60% is not being manufactured in local scenario. Even the powdered milk, the bigger names that you're looking at, Fonterras, there are companies which have been there for long years. Yeah. So now these are how this consumption, how does this consumer is going to have a impact on on a long-term basis. It's an aging population which is taking place in Sri Lankan context. If it is aging population, what does it mean? Yeah. Do you think that they are the people who are going to have more milk? The people are probably people have certain issues with diabetics. Yeah. The figures could say like 33% of the population might be affected by the diabetics by the year of 2033 to come up. Yeah. So then does that going to have an impact on the milk products what I'm going to manufacture? So these are things that you need to look at on a bigger perspective. Is it a conducive environment to operate? Is it something that is interesting for me to look at? Yeah. On the environmental aspect of it, how do we do? You could see that sustainability is key, and CSR is at the peak. Nice stories about how they went to the farmers who was affected by the floods, their crops, and all what they want is to educate their children, which is like heart touching, big warm kind of CSR, not expecting anything in return to go off with. So is that something that people will be looking forward rather than having back of their mind that in the long term that I'm going to get on ethical grounds of it. Yeah. So on different pictures. So is the am I going to protect the environment? We see roughly these cows take about 110 liters of water a day. Where even in Sri Lanka or even in Bangladesh or wherever you're operating, do have enough clean water access to the population. Yeah. So what are we looking at? What are we thinking of? So is it something that is it an environmentally friendly project that I'm going to work things out? Is it conducive? Is it something that might have an impact on the butane, but then in green gas, but then that's a requirement for food to go off with. So these are the questions that you're going to ask. These are the questions that you're going to work off with, and then you would identify and I understand whether that's going to be a threat for you or is it an opportunity for you to work things out. Yeah. On economic aspect of it, looking at the current context, how we are growing, how we are going to move off with the Paris Club, Sri Lanka probably, nailing it out, coming out of the bankruptcy, which is pretty interesting to work things out. So whether that's a good news that everybody is waiting for, or is something that more to come, whether these are this would have a sustainable element on the GDP growth was projected at 1.6, 1.3%, and suddenly then you get a news saying that you're at 5.3%. These are whether these facts which could be useful for me to decide on coming in where people could afford to have more buy more milk at a reasonable price, because my company wants to. That's one of their motives of identifying and understanding and giving the affordable pricing, while sustaining the fair pricing to the producers. It's other way to the consumers also. So whether that's in line with what I do, that's in line with my organization's purpose. So brilliant. Can you go ahead? Can you do certain things? What are the new technological perspective coming up? What are the new technological aspects are there? We already see in the case that a belt can talk about the temperature, the goodness part of it. Probably there are so many ways of the computers have come in. The microchips could be planted in to look at the overall picture, the health of the cattle and the requirement, the water requirement. There are so many automated milking facilities are there. There are so many automated the cattle care things like the skin rubs, and look at new technologies which has come in, which could have a greater impact of manufacturing and delivering a product could be much more better and cheaper in the market, so that we could easily get a good number of market share in time to come, right? Legal perspectives. What are the taxes? What are the elements which you need to cover? What are the labor laws? What you need to go through? Sri Lanka labor laws are pretty stringent, favoring the employees. So whether it's going to be fall into the BOI category, whether you could fall into BOI category to work things out, where the collective bargaining agreements could be a vital document to work things out. So there are so many elements that you need to identify and understand and prop up, plug in, and see whether which is going to be key to your organization, key to the environment, key to the market, key to the way it's looking at. Yeah. Now, just to give you an example of how different sectors could have the impact on organization at different time zones also. That's also very important, because this is the critical aspect of it. Once you do the fiscal framework or the environmental analysis on the macro level, most of the organizations, what they do is that they don't realize that these are ever changing and ever challenging elements, because these elements are they are not they are very dynamic. They change. They are not stable. They change every time, right? 3 months ago, then you are looking at your dollar at at 290 level, and then suddenly you can see there's a increase of around 3%. in your dollar rupee depreciation. So which is like pretty interesting to see how this is going to take the shape, because that's going to have an impact on your pricing of the other products, because already your product prices have gone up, which happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, which repeated back again. The history repeats anyway. So now these are the elements that you might have to see how it works. Now, say for example, with your aging population, now if you are looking at this is just an example, I'm taking another industry so that you would understand, like, how it might what are the elements that it might have an impact on your industry to work off with. If you look at the aging population, obviously your desert area might not be palatable to them. Like what I'm saying is, like, the ice creams or any sugary added products with the dairy is not going to be interesting for them, because they might not be able to take. We are looking at about, with the old age, they are prone to have diabetics. Not everyone, but then statistically, you could have diabetics, even if you're not having diabetics for 60, 65 years. Once you pass that 65 years, we have Sri Lankan population average age is around about 74, 75. So which is like about another 10, 15 years that you live on with, then your consumption on those products would go down, or maybe no consumption at all. Yeah. Unless otherwise you think of where, oh, it's only annually, it's only once a year, it's only twice a year, whatever, that kind of a situation. That's how it works out. So then my volumes, then I can't be working on the number of people, prior to the if I'm not wrong, the GDP of Sri Lanka per capita income, comparatively, that we can consume about 4.5 liters of ice cream per year. If my memory serves right, yeah. But we are at somewhere around about 1.4 liters per year. Yeah. So probably now it would have increased. I'm sure it would have increased about 2 liters or 2.2 liters. So still there's a huge gap that, that's why you could see a lot of ice cream companies have come in. Even the old ice cream companies have worked things out. So, this is something that, when the information that you work with, the details, what you see from the environment. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to drive at. So then if you're looking at, you see, when you work on on your demographic itself, this I'm looking at the social perspective on the demographic itself. The food consumption level might drop, and accordingly the dairy product consumption might drop. So a population which is growing, which is going to be a big chunk comparative to the younger generation, what you could have, because the aging population increases, then your volumes, what you expect as a human being, the consumption is going to be dropped. So at one particular time, when you're looking at that 60% market requirement is actually not 60%, might be 30, 40%. So your projections need to be very carefully drafted, because if you are looking at the information what you get from the market when you analyze the environment, so you need to be aware that these fluctuation in the population could have an impact on my volumes, right? So that's why I'm trying to drive you all at. So you need to be focusing on things what is going to impact me, impact the organization, impact, when I say me, my organization, what I'm going to work off with. Yeah. So you need to be very careful when you're working this personal. So I don't want to, go one by one. I'm sure you'd have done enough details on that. Key drivers. Now, this is something that you need to look at, which is going to impact the key drivers. Yeah, which is going to have a bigger impact. So in the dairy farming, what is going to have a bigger impact? What is that going to drive? What is that going to change the industry? What is that going to have a bigger impact? You need to understand. Yeah. So looking at the environment, whether it is political factors, whether it is economic factors, obviously the economic factors could have an impact because your disposable income changes dramatically. Then you want something that you will cut off with is milk. Yeah. Not when you have the small kids, but then average income earners could drop that off, right? So that's then from the normal organized channels to the unorganized channels, people could move, right? So now that's something that you need to take care of. The second element, the industry we are looking at, obviously that you are looking at the 5 forces. Yeah. Your competitive forces and your industry life cycle could be looked at this particular point. Yeah. So if you're looking at your 5 forces, obviously that how this could work. Now, do you think the existing players are just going to allow you to come and settle down and capture the market, which they want to capture at the beginning? Already you could see there are MOUs been signed, legalized, the paperworks are on. The Amul's entrance is going to be huge. So you could see the political clout what they would have to establish themselves here. Yeah, obviously because there's a big market which is there. Already Cargill's have their own brand Kotmale under them to work things out. So it's going to be much more easier for them to to have the fundamental certain things which is on the ground itself. Already they have established, they are there to work things out. So is that industry would accommodate new players to come in? Yes, you have experience in your own country. Yes, you have experience in countries that you are working off with. You're good, but will you face issues? Will that have an impact on you thinking if you're coming in? Okay, if you're coming in thinking that if you're coming. So as a consultant, as if you're the consultant, and what would be advising the MB to work things out? Yeah. So because as I said, you need to think of 2 companies here. Yeah. You as a consultant and the company which want to do business. So what is the situation? Is there new players can walk in? Obviously, it's not going to be easy because you need a lot of investment element in. You'll be having a lot of fixed cost element in because you need to acquire, you need to work off with. We know very clearly it's the the cool climate produces better yield than the dry zones. These are things that you need to work out to see whether any new entrants could easily come in. If they're going to come in easily, then the industry is not going to be interesting. But we know that it's not easy for people to come in. Yeah, can you manage as an organization? Can you manage? Do you have enough finances around you? Yeah, you see some positive figures in your statements, which is good, right? Looking at the buyers, they are lacking. They have their own issues because they have only they are used to they're used to milk powders. Yeah, 60% of the market is milk powder users. 40% is liquid. Of course, you can see now the Tetra Paks have coming up. They are moving. They are filling the shelves, and they're moving very fast. And there are established names are there, and they could have better names coming in. Still the capacities are not being developed. Ideally, Pelavatta might be a good target to work things out. It's a for various reasons. Yeah. So thinking of all these elements in, buyers, do they dictate terms to you? Are they being served by others also, or you could produce locally and give them something that which might be interesting? Because how many years that the Sri Lankan market has been using the powdered version. Yeah. And these are so are they in a better position for you to negotiate with you for the pricing, or you could dictate the terms on pricing? Yeah. Because obviously you would have the competitors with like kind of substitutes, like it's a liquid milk, maybe it's powdered milk. Yeah. And you're talking of big established players. Yeah. So these are the things that you might have to consider. What do you have as supplement? Soya milk that you're looking at? Has it grown? Has it moved? Has it or is it stagnant in the market? Is it the market share is somewhat similar, or is it going down, or people are not happy with the substitute? What you see? Any other substitutes that they are looking at? So very poor. So then, like their power or threat also would be much more lesser. Yeah. Looking at the suppliers now, this is where you might have to see you have a very good good understanding and relationship established with the suppliers, right? And probably you have your own things to do. So we see that there are different supply chains available in the dairy market. So where would you fall into it, and where do you have? Because now will the suppliers could demand more, because there would be demand, still there'll be demand, because it's only about 40% it's been manufactured currently, and which might take a little bit time to gradually to increase that volume up to the required level, because you could see, like 72 to 22, they are looking at about 10 to 15 years time to fulfill. So from 40 to move on, then it's quite a long process of getting the volumes. Now, then you look at your competitive rivalry. Who is going to be? Yeah, current players versus existing players versus the players who have already committed themselves to expand and come in. And also, if you're thinking of coming in, so is it going to be a nice scenario, or is it going to be a bit of a tough scenario to work things out? So is that the only, is that something that negative about in this particular industry, and rest are quite positive? So with your market experience and with your the knowledge what you have, whether you could manage these elements, because you've been good in marketing element, you have specialized people to work things out. So now these are the elements that you need to consider prior to make any decisions on. Yeah. Where is your industry life cycle is? Like, are you looking at where are you now? You're looking at which point? You're still on the development stage, or you're on the growth stage. Probably if you're looking at only 40% of the market requirement is being met, probably you're at the 40% level. So then still you might have low rivalry. Yeah. You can start growing faster. So your market might be where you are entering also quite the industry also quite happy to go industry. Probably you're somewhere here. I'm making certain assumptions with the information what has been provided. Yeah. So then you could see once you establish yourself, once you move, then probably when you're moving on to the shakeout period, there could be increasing rivalry. Probably currently you might have some low rivalries, but then when you move on, there could be increasing in rivalries. Just a thought, just a idea. The volumes, think of the volumes, guys. Okay. Volumes, sorry. Yeah. Volumes in Bangladesh and in Sri Lankan context. Yeah. 2024 to 2030. So you're looking at 20% to grow in Bangladesh with the volumes. What you're looking at, that 20%, probably you have about you can easily get, by the current context, probably you might get about 6 to 7% coming in, because it is 10% being taken by the other your main rivalry. So that 6% volume versus Sri Lankan. If you're thinking of Sri Lanka, yeah, if you think of Sri Lankan volume, whether that's worth of investing, worth of looking at it, or is it for a long-term perspective that you're looking at? Think of it. Yeah. Think of it, whether it's worth. Right. So the next level is going to be like competitors and your immediate customers that you're looking at. So you're looking at the strategic groups, the market segments, and also the strategic customers. Yeah. So probably there may be many people who are operating in the industry. Maybe there are on that particular industry. There may be multinational organizations. There may be different local companies manufacturing. But you should be able to identify and understand who your strategic group that you are going to belong to. Because when you say the strategic group, it is like who has the similar practice, who has the similar access, who has the similar market conditions. For example, I've given you the 5-star hotels in, let's say in Colombo, in city hotels. Okay, 5-star city hotels. Now, if you say the city hotels, you could have hotel names such as Renuka, Cinnamon Red, City Hotel, La Mirage, Global, and also you'll have Kingsbury, Taj, ITC, Shangri-La, Hilton, Cinnamon. Now, the set of hotels what I mentioned at the beginning and at the end of it, they all operate in Colombo, city hotels. But then, do you think that Hilton will be interested to see what Hotel Renuka does? Or whether the Hilton will be interested to see what Cinnamon Red does. Probably not, because they don't belong into that particular same category. Yeah, probably they are 3 stars, 2 stars city hotels with less facilities, less environmental aspect than the 5-star hotels what you have in Colombo, right? There are so many new hotels coming up, the Marriott, Sheraton, you name, all right? So with all these things, now, do you think that they will be worried about these smaller hotels which are operating as well? Probably they might be thinking of for an extent, for a limit, yeah, but not on a long-term basis, because that they don't fall into that strategic group. So where are you falling in? What is your strategic group? Because they are the people who are going to have a direct competition. They are the people who are going to fight with you. They are the people who are going to get that market share. They are the people who are going to fight for your customers, and you are going to fight for the same customers whom they are serving. So you need to look at that strategic group. So your case has enough information about it. Yeah, your case has enough information about it, like where you already operate, your home country, as well as your host country. Yeah, so you have enough information on that particular basis, right? That's a strategic group, right? So then ask these questions. If you already asked these questions, pretty good, right? Who are the people who are competing with you? Who are the people who would be competing with you, right? If you move on, if you come in, yeah, or who are the people who would be on the similar nature, the volumes, the numbers, the technology what you use, yeah. What are the manufacturers, right? And what is the market segment that you're going to cater? What is the market segment? You know what the market segment is. So who are they? So who are looking for the similar need, like, so who are these people? Are you creating something new, or is they already existing in the market, or who are not being served and now you're going to serve them? Yeah. So how do you tell them that now you can buy freely? Yeah. Now you can get, yeah, high quality product into that. Do you have your reputation intact to do that? Yeah. Certain questions. Double income, no kids. Yeah. So they will be different to double income with kids. Yeah. Because double income with kids vehicle would be a sedan or a station wagon. Double income, no kids would be sports cars, 2 maybe. Yeah. So because there is no major commitment to go on. So what is your market segment? Is that the people who think health conscious? Oh, look at Sri Lankan context. Yeah, people are now a bit of health conscious. Is that school children that you're targeting? Already there are liquid milk at high scale, Tetra Paks. Yeah. Established brands, established multinational brands. Yeah. So where do you position yourself? Now, are you going to come into that particular market segment also? Value added. You have experience. Yes, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Experience in producing these value added products. Oh, that's interesting. So can we do the same? Look at the opportunities. Look at how whether these are opportunities for you to work things out, or are you feeling the threat on them? Then who buys you? School children. Who pays for school children? Their parents. So are they their customers? So school children, your consumers. So whom you are going to target, whom you are going to attract, whom you are going to work off with, who are your strategic customers, who are the people who could make your sale or no sale. Yeah, think. See, now that is what I want you all to do. Yeah, I'm not going to write and give you these are the your customers to work off with. So asking these questions, getting these elements out of your mind would you will be more prepared. So you know whom you're catering, you know whom you're going to fight with, you know who is my strategic group. So now looking on the external perspective, now are these things providing me a opportunity to grow, or is there the threat? Yeah. Where do I stand now? Where do I work off with? Yeah. So this is very, very critical, isn't it? Very important. Is there a strategic gap? Is there a strategic gap? We already know some certain information about the Sri Lankan market conditions. There's about 60% not provided, or 60% is depending on the powdered milk or whatever. Yeah. So is there a strategic gap? Or so already what they're providing at 40%, they are providing the milk, they are providing the value-added milk, they are providing the plain milk, they are providing which they can take home, they are partial, they're semi-partial, whatever you are looking at. Complete, ready to drink now. Fresh milk, is it possible? There are only maybe opinion shapers around, yeah. So there's one area, I think, next to that near St. Peter's College, you have one shop, no? Serving fresh milk. There must be so many other places, opinion shapers, just one or two people in that particular area, because when you pass that area, sometimes it's trafficy, people stop to have fresh milk, whatever. So the strategic gap is actually like what your competitor has not seen or not provided. Yeah. Let me take an example, easy example, so that you would understand. If you look at the soap market, yeah, what do you call your toilet soap market? If you look at the toilet soap market, I'm just trying to draw a line and place. Where do you the normal market level? So you have the Lux, you have Rexona, you have I don't know some names. I can't remember the soap. What we have used, or what I don't use the soap. Rexona, Velvet. Okay, now the names comes in. Yeah, Rani. I don't know. Yeah. So all this would be on similar range. Yeah, on pricing. I'm not sure how much a cake of soap costs now. So I believe they are on the similar range. And probably a little bit higher, maybe you might see, if I'm right, probably you might see Dettol. Yeah, Purpose. Yeah, Dettol kind of. So there maybe Lifebuoy is also here. Then probably you're looking at, if you're looking at, I don't know, maybe Dove, maybe you're looking at this pricing. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Dove, you're looking at this pricing. Maybe Palmolive, Imperial Lather, maybe that level, but they are not organized market. Yeah, so that see in between this this is the gap. This is what you call the gap. Yeah. So if somebody gives a good soap, yeah, at something similar to Dove at a price in between Dove and the normals, mass market soap, somewhere this range. So let's say this is like 150. Let's say I'm not sure. So if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, maybe this is 300. So maybe you are giving something like 225. Yeah, something very similar to Dove and much better than the average soap. I'm sure you could capture the market. But the only issue is like the soap market is dying. Yeah, toilet soap market is declining. That's because shower gels have taken over. Yeah, so shower gels take over. Soap market declining, so nobody wants to bring in something interesting at this particular point. Yeah, when you look at the market conditions. Now, this is how you start analyzing and see how you work things out. Now, probably the kids or the school going children market maybe at you're looking at Milo at a high level. Yeah, then you have Kotmale, you have other brands also producing the similar kind of products. Yeah. Then at the similar pricing, so probably everybody is here. Yeah, everybody is at this particular this particular level. Yeah. Then do you have something pretty high? Maybe in Sri Lankan conditions there is nothing at that particular level. So if you give something, if you see something ideally where you can tap a market, do you have anything below this? Probably you have some soap for 100 rupees or something like that, or 50 rupees, very low quality. I'm not sure whether that's available. So if you are looking at a mass market, so probably you could work something out for 100 rupees and produce something very similar to Lux or other products, and maybe that might have a big say. Like, if you're thinking of milk, a good product coming at much more 33% cheaper than your competitor pricing, with a high quality assured product to work things out. That's where the gap that you are looking at. Yeah, so that information is not available, but then you could see whether that's possible on that particular aspect of it. Yeah, right. So the next area, now we're looking at the external aspect of it. The next area, the internally within yourself. Yeah, so we'll look at the foundation, cost efficiencies, sustainability, and finally the analysis part. Yeah. So your strategic capabilities refers to generally your resources and your competencies. Yeah. So resources and competencies. Now you need to be a bit careful. Certain books use these competencies and capabilities, interchangeably. Some book goes as your resources and capabilities, which is the competencies. Yeah. So, but then understand your capability means that what you could do with your resources and how you manage your resources, the processes. Yeah, the process how you manage your resources to work things out. So now, so your strategic capability would be like, how do you manage your resources with the right processes, and how do you make them for you to sustain what you're doing and also to grow. Yeah, that's why it says to survive. Yeah, sustain what you're doing and also to grow, prosper, right? So how do you look at it? Because then you will understand what it is. So when you break your resources down, yeah, it could be tangible, intangible, but this might give you a little bit tricky to break on this particular perspective, because there are certain products, certain resources like cash, yeah, humans. Now cash is tangible, intangible. Human, tangible, intangible. Yeah. So that's therefore it's better break it up into 4: physical, financial, human resources, and intellectual capital. So then that might give you a better picture. Now, when you break these elements on your organizations, now there are certain aspects which they have already spoken about in your case already. Yeah. Easily you can identify whether these are, because intellectual properties could be your processes, your approvals, your licenses, and things like that. Yeah. So you need to identify how well these are organized, how well, whether this is good enough for me, or am I having that edge over my competitors? Do I produce high quality products, which is acceptable to work things out? Is my processes right? So there has been some challenges in my processes of manufacturing the new formula. Yeah. So these are the issues that could need to be sorted, right? So that could be a weakness for me. The reputation, my brand reputation at stake could be a weakness for me. My process is not challenged, so there is no proper testing at my end product is a weakness for me. So now these are the things. So these are things now. Now that could be when somebody, your competitor, markets that, and that could be a threat for you because the consumers are already pulling out from you. The market confidence levels drops when you have, especially when you are talking with infants. Yeah, when you're talking with children, when you're talking with any issues on that nature. So we know that big companies has to lose their reputation, including Fonterra. So these are things that you need to be aware of. How when you start analyzing yourself with your resources, right? So let's look at the threshold resources, threshold competencies, unique resources, and core competencies. So ideally, the threshold resources would give you basic fundamental things, fundamental perspectives, fundamental things for you to, which you require to serve your customers minimally, right? So you need the resources. You need, now say for example, for a bank, you will require a branch. Yeah. Now it is changing, right? I'll come to that to explain what are the difference between your threshold and competitive. Yeah. Unique resources. So you have your threshold competencies and your core competencies. Now, let me go back to the banking industry since I touched that, so that you could see how you could relate that with your industry. Way back in 1987, I think, if I have to go back, the ATM machine network was created by Sampath Bank at that particular time. Obviously, maybe another bank could have had ATM machine, but not with a bigger network. Yeah, Sampath Bank went on with a bigger network, so they definitely had at that time, they definitely had that resources was a unique resource which gave them that competitive advantage. Yeah, because this is a time that you're looking at where the banks closes on Mondays at 1 o'clock, other days at 1:30. So you wait in a queue to withdraw your cash. Probably you need to take a short leave or something like that if you are to withdraw some money from the bank, because you need to be in the queue. Mostly it was manual. Where you have to go to your branch to withdraw cash. When I tell these stories to you, you might be wondering, like, which part of this world was that Sri Lanka was living, yeah, with era, yeah, that's a era in 80s, 90, yeah, after 80, late 80s, that thanks to certain banks who revolutionized quickly so that others also start following it up, because it was the competitive advantage what they had, yeah. So just imagine, like, you have a ATM machine where you can withdraw cash while you go home. You don't have to take leave. You don't have to take short leaves. You don't have to take lunch breaks. You don't have to eat only for 5 minutes and go and wait in the queue for 1 hour and come back or whatever it is. Yeah. So that's the time that they're looking at. Unmet customer need was satisfied with a unique resource, which gave them definitely a competitive advantage. But if I ask you today whether ATM machine, does it give a competitive advantage, you might say no, because everybody has it. Now everybody has acquired it. It doesn't give that competitive advantage. It gives you that threshold resources. So we are not going to have any bank accounts if we see that that our bank is not going to have any ATM machines. Now the technology is more advanced. Even the banks they don't have their own network, or they have their network in only restricted places. Now they have facilities that you can withdraw cash at any other telemachines, different banks, using your own bank's card, and probably for a fee. Yeah, which is okay, which is acceptable, because even if you want to go to the bank, that it might take some amount to be spent, right? So now that's how it works now, right? So now today ATM machine has become a threshold resource, which requires to serve your customers, at least minimally you should have an ATM machine. That's how it works. That network should be there, but not sometime back. It was a competitive resource, or you call it a unique resource, which gave you the competitive advantage. So as an organization, what do you have? What do you have as that unique resource? What do you have? What do you have that which gives you that edge over your competitors? What do you have? Do you have any information on the case? Do you have any information what they are provided on the case? The type of resources that you have, and how that's working off with. Yeah, search for it, get those details. Yeah, identify whether that could be sustained for a long period of time, whether that could be held on, because generally the resources they're not sustainable. They're not sustainable as as the unique resource, because your competitor can buy them now. It's free market, it's openly available. Now, some resources might be difficult. That's why you as a human being still being paid a good salary. It's simply because of that. Not that everybody can buy you. Yeah, not that everybody can afford you. Right. So now the human resources could be because they bring that processes element in. They bring that competencies. The way they make use of the processes. Now, staying in the banking industry itself, the loans. Some banks give loans within 2 weeks. Some bank gives loan within a day. Some banks give a loan within 5 days. You select which bank that you will go to. Obviously, if you want to go in your friend's car in the morning to work and come back in your own car, you might select the bank which is giving the loan in a day. Yeah, some bank advertise that way, isn't it? You go in the morning on your friend's car and drive back your own car in the evening. Yeah. If nobody's advertising, take it as a idea. Yeah. So how are they doing it? Why certain banks 3 days? Why certain banks 5 days? Why certain banks 2 weeks? And why certain banks 1 day? It's the process. Because generally, all the banks have the similar resources. It's a process. Yeah. Look at the housing loans. It's a process. How do you get the valuation done? How do you get that thing done? How do you get this done? How do you work this out? It's a process. So that competencies, that how you make your resources. Yeah, you get your valuation, you get your valuers, you get your people who are looking for the properties, who are looking for the addresses, confirming with the grammar worker, looking at the, all these things to be mobilized. And only you can, if you can mobilize in a day, that's how you can approve your loan. So that is ideally, that's how it works. Yeah, that's how it goes on. So you can have your core competencies, that is, which gives you that competitive advantage. So do you have that unique resources, and do you have that core competencies? Now those would be your strengths. Yeah, if you don't have, ideally you're neutral. You're only having the threshold capabilities. Yeah, you have only threshold resources and you have only threshold competencies. So with that, nobody's going to, you can't be challenging, because you don't have anything additional. You don't have anything more. Yeah. So now these are the things that you need to think of, right? But I've gone through, right? So that's your cost efficiency. Now this is ideal because we are looking at a manufacturing organization. Look at it. Cost efficiencies would play a role. Cost efficiencies would have an impact on your resources. Cost efficiencies would have a positive results when you analyze yourself internally. Do you have enough experience? We know that experience curve, right? When you with your experience, your price could come down. Yeah. When you start off, and then at a certain point, then after that it might be constant, but the price would come down with time. Yeah. So if somebody else is going to start here, so this is like, I'm just giving you hypothetically, let's say 2020, and if somebody starts off in 2024, right? Let's say the cost remains same, right? The cost remains same. So by the time he reaches this particular level, it is 2024 level. So you can see his cost is going to start somewhere here, and it will take time to come and reach this, maybe 2028. So until 4 years, that you're going to have an advantage of the cost advantage that you're going to work because of your experience. Yeah, product design. Yeah. So your product design also would give you how you manufacture. Rolls-Royce would easily say that 80% of the cost is like when you don't complicate your spares. So if you could work on a nice, easy product, how you design your product, how do you work on your product, right? How do you manufacture your milk? How do you manufacture your milk, and whether it will withstand your transportation? Very important. Your supply cost, from what you get from your sellers when you buy it. Yeah. Bargaining power of your suppliers. Going back with your 5 forces. So if your bargaining power of your buyers would be, the sellers, the suppliers is going to be high, then your cost efficiency is not going to be very good. So what do? How do you work things out? And economies of scale, obviously we know that, when you produce more your cost could come down, your supervisory cost could be divided into more number of products, your fixed cost could be divided into more number of products, because fixed cost is a killer. We know that. So your economy of scale would definitely help you in going into the efficiency part. Sustainability. How do you sustain? How do you sustain the competitive advantage what you have? How do you manage to work on the competitive advantage? Number one, a customer could see, customer must see that what you deliver to them, it's valuable. It's valuable. For example, you walk into a store, okay? Let's say you want to buy a shirt, you want to buy a trouser, or you want to buy a blouse, or I don't know, whatever you want to buy. When you walk in, you see something on the display. When you look at the display, you feel comfortable, and now you're giving a pricing. Oh, 5,000 rupees. I think that's a fair deal. I should be able to get that. So you get closer. You get closer. You see the tag is 2,500. I buy two, because I've already created that value in my mind. Whatever the manufacturer has given me, whatever the department is giving, I thought it's expensive. It's very good. It looks good. It's worth, because I know what I want, and it's extremely good, and that's how it works. But on the other hand, you think it's 5,000, and you go get closer, and it says 15,000. Let's look at it again. Yeah, let's look at something else. Now that's where you start killing the value. So customers should see that value. They should see that value, what you're delivering. They should feel that you're giving them something valuable. When you say that valuable, means that you're got a deal. You got a deal. Oh, I paid only so much. Oh, I'm happy with that. Yeah. The next one, your product or your resources or your competencies, what you're delivering, should be rare. Should be rare. It should be unique. It should be transferability. You should be able to see that. It should be sustainability for a long period of time. You can't. It's not just one off. It's not somebody else can take it and run and yes, we were the first people, but then somebody else ran. With the dollar increase, I'm still talking about the dollar increase, because still we are not settled down. So that's why I'm holding on to the dollar. Of course, we have to get used to it. The travel also have restricted for a certain limit. Yeah, travel is also restricted for a certain limit. Of course, the travel around Sri Lanka is blooming, but travel by Sri Lankans are not back to the normal benchmark. But it'll come. It'll come, because once people start getting used to it, people really getting used to it, and with the consumer confidence going up, then probably the travel would come back. So when you look at that, when you look at how this works, is that if you are going to give them something on air, airline would give you something, a super experience, a unique experience, and which every time when you fly with them, that you're enjoying their hospitality, and every time you see that it's a similar service, or same service, or no, it's an expected service that has been provided to you, and which is like, rarely I see it in other airlines. I always try to stick to that particular carrier. For long haul flights, we have Middle Eastern airlines are doing extremely well out of Sri Lanka. Yeah. Emirates, Qatar, Etihad doing extremely well. So these are something that people should be able to see. Then you can sustain that competitive advantage. The third one, it's inimitable. Your product should not be able to be copied. Yeah, this is one reason that I always be a bit of critic on Apple products, especially the mobile phones. How can you need to make this now? This is one of the reasons that Alibaba lost face in India, in their home ground. Yeah, before the Apple original was marketed, Apple duplicate was for sale on Alibaba site. Look at, I'm sure most of you are, at least some of you all should be using SAPs. Yeah, you ask them to change a module, it will be difficult because everything is linked, complex. Think of what do you call a theme park. Probably now, since people would have traveled to close by Singapore, maybe Universal Studio comes into the mind, but then nothing like, believe me, nothing like Disney. Yeah, because there's rich culture and history, long. It's very difficult to copy that, right? So if it is complex, it's very difficult to copy. So when you have a long history, it's difficult to copy. And the other one is causal ambiguity. Not casual, it's causal ambiguity. CAUSUL. Yeah? Causal ambiguity. That very clearly says, because it's like most of the Nestle products. Kit Kat or Chit Chat? So what's the difference between Kit Kat and Chit Chat? Same wafer, similar kind of chocolate. The pricing is so high. Oh, Kit Kat have a break. Chit Chat, I don't know. Yeah. So why that stands outside? That's outstanding product. Why? Nesta Malt, #1 in Sri Lanka on the malted drink. Nothing else. It's giving a run to our national drink. It's tea, not anything else. Yeah. So people, they want you to start with Nesta Malt in the morning. Unfortunately, that doesn't go very well with the Sri Lankan market, I believe. Yeah, but they're pretty good. Why not Viva? Why not Milo? Why not other powdered, malted drinks? Why not Horlicks? Now from GSK, now it is Unilever. Why not? Why not? Difference? Difficult to understand. Difficult to understand why they are good. Difficult to understand. So do you have something that people don't know why they are buying you? Is your products are the same? Are they they only look for your product? So it's very difficult to explain why you are so good. So that causal ambiguity is that. The causal ambiguity is also that when it gives you two headaches. One is a good one and one is not so good one. The good one is that the competitors don't know why you are so good. It's difficult to understand why Nesta Malt is doing extremely well, where Viva, Horlicks, all similar. If somebody going to say it's high sugar content, then everything is high sugar content. Yeah. The second one is like I said, it's not so very good because if you don't know why you're so good, you can't improve on that. Yeah. Substitution. You should not be able to be substituted. Yeah. You should be not be able to be substituted. So product substitution, especially if you can be substituted digitally, then you have a problem. Yeah. So you need to be very careful. So can your product, the milk, can it be substituted? Can it be substituted? Now probably you're with a busy world. Do you really want to stay and drink, or you want something on the go? Or you want to have a tablet to be swallowed, which has the complete nutrition of your milk, and you drink water, then everything is streamlined into your system as milk. Because milk contains water as well, yeah. So how does it work? You probably even Sri Lankan postal service. Yeah, postal service lost big time after after your social media and your emails and things like that. They lost big time because now no letters, now no love letters or now no nothing like that, right? Now it's only the registered post, only the official letters comes in. Yeah, mostly. How are they surviving? They lost their big time sale in their stamps. How are they surviving? What do they do? Now they were replaced digitally. How are they surviving? Yeah. So they changed themselves. They managed to become part-time bankers. Yeah, so they accept certain banks deposits, transactions, because they have the best network. Post office has the best network. Yeah, and they became the acceptance of all the penalties. Yeah, your road violation penalties. So they also transform themselves to adapt accordingly. Make sure that they don't go out of business. Then the organization need to be ready, and the organization need to be dynamic. Yeah. You need to be dynamic in the changing environment. You need to be dynamic. Then you can sustain yourself. I'll give you quickly. I'll give you an example. I'm going back to the banking industry again. Way back in 2008, 2009, when the bankruptcy internationally, especially in the US, Bank of America was, they realized that it's going to take some toll on them, and if they don't get the customer base up, they also will be following Lehman Brothers and filing the papers for bankruptcy. So they had the money, but they could not acquire the right customers for them. They need people who would transact, who would work, so that there would be transactions taking place even in the crisis time. Yeah. So what they did was they came out with a very innovative product. They said like, okay, guys, you all buy. Let's say you have to pay. If you pay with my debit card, yeah. So you pay with my debit card. So when you pay with the debit card means what? You should have a account, and then you should have money, yeah, to pay with the debit card. Those are the two things that you have to fulfill. So let's say you are paying with a debit card your bill. Let's say $28.30. I'm going to charge you $29. Oh, everybody was confused. If it is $28.30, why are you charging me that 0.70? Yeah, 70 cents more. They said, don't worry, because okay, 0.7 we will multiply that by 3. That means $2.10. We will deposit that into your account in 3 days' time. Fantastic deal, yeah? Good deal. And this they can do it up to they said they will cover it up to $250. Yeah. So if you're looking at 52 weeks, yeah, maximum you can lose is 270, yeah, 275, let's say, yeah, $2.75, $2.75 into 52 weeks. That's like how many that you are looking at? You're looking at 104, 75, 13, 26, 39, 104 and 39 is $143 that you lose. Yeah. So they say they can go up to $250. That's possible. That's like if you're looking at, on average bill of a consumer weekly bill that you're paying off. So they were able to sustain, they're able to get new customers because the new customers saw that, they are getting a benefit. Nobody gives you free, okay? Nobody gives you free, right? How did Bank of America survive? The customer base increased, the transactions increased. Of course, they allocated good. For every customer they have allocated $250. So customer acquisition was $250 cost, which is possible. Yeah, there's a marketing cost that they worked on. So organizations has to be dynamic during the crisis time, especially. So even our organization has to be dynamic, or are we dynamic for us to sustain our competitive advantage and move on. Yeah. Right. So then we have another tool to analyze, which is like value chain, benchmarking, activity maps, and also finally we can combine that on the SWOT. Yeah. So value chain, if you look at the value chain, you would see because the case talks more on value chain. Try and plot these guys. Try and plot this. Your inbound logistics is nothing but how do you store your raw materials? Yeah. And how do you, until the time you send the raw materials for the production flow. Operations, converting that raw materials into the final product. Outbound logistics is sending your final product to your consumers. So in between, if you have customers. Marketing and sales, identifying, understanding what the market requirement, informing the market that these products are available, and making sure that these products are distributed to the right required demanded places. And then the service query. In any queries, any questions that they have, the customers have, then you work on it. Procurement, which will help you to work to obtain your raw material at the right price, at the right quantity, at the right quality, at the right time. Yeah. So you are looking at right price, right quantity, right quality, at the right time. Human resource management. Are you operating on budget? Have you recruited the right people? Your recruitment, you're recruiting the right people. Recruiting right people at the right time. Yeah. Are you maintaining them? Maintaining them? Questions to be asked. Technology development. Good that the case talks about technology development. Guys, please look at the technology development in the, it's happening around the world with regard to the farming. Very interesting. And how the number of people could be reduced, how it is robotized, how the quality could be maintained, how the milking is done, how the cows are being taken care of, giving them the medications on time, everything. It's a whole new world, whole new systems operates. Interesting. So please have a look at it, because you know where you are now and where the world has moved on already. Yeah. So so that will give you an edge if you can work things out. Yeah. So if you can't work, and if your competitors are already on that, then that means you're not having a even a threshold competencies. Yeah. So you need to be aware of that. Then firm's infrastructure, your structure, your hierarchies, your finances, your everything. How does it look? Is it good, bad, ugly? Are you processing very well? Is the information flow is correct? The information flow is better? Yeah. Look at the value chain. So that when you internally analyze these are the primary activities, and the top ones are the supporting activities. So once you have, I've asked question marks. Once you have, then you can create that value network. If you see, the organization's inbound logistics becomes your supplier's outbound logistics. Am I right? Same way, the organization's outbound logistics becomes your customer's inbound logistics. So your customers could be the values channels, then you can have your consumers to go on. Same way, on return information coming in, your after sales service information from your consumers, right, which will be fed into your customer's system. Customer would tell your marketing and sales guys, hey guys, look, your products are not acceptable, they are having some issues, they're having problems, so this need to be changed. Yeah. Or now your competitors are giving the pricing at a very at a different level, so your pricing need to be changed, or your promotions need to be changed. Yeah. And that will be fed into your marketing and sales, and in return, your marketing and sales will be talking to your suppliers and telling them, hey guys, we don't want these raw materials, because now we are not going to produce these products now because the consumers don't want it. Now that's the information flow which comes in. So when you create that value network from the supplier to end customer, yeah, so the entire value network works beautifully, so that everybody in that value network would understand, and their main goal would be delivering the right product to the customers. So your supply becomes your partner, the channel becomes your partner, and you all will get together and deliver what the customer wants. Isn't it nice? Yeah. So do you have that strength? Do you have that link? Do you have that network? Do you have that network to your supermarkets? Do you have that network to your distribution points? Do you have the network with your milk suppliers? Do you have a person to gather the high quality milk to work up? Your case talks about these things, guys. Your case talks about these things. So now analyze, see whether it's a strength, it's a weakness, whether is something wrong somewhere. Is that certain information missing? Is certain things are not right? So now you could see when you start understanding the capabilities in relation to your value network, yeah, you will understand which is centrally important to the organization. So which becomes the core elements. Yeah. Where are the profit pools coming from? Where now you will be understanding like where the cost is going. What should be outsourced? What are the areas that I'm not doing good? What are the areas my consumers are not, my customers are not doing good? What are the areas that, whether it's the outbound logistics is that it's not my area because I can't transport. I'm not good at transportation. I need freezer trucks, which is not possible. There's a cold chain network taking place. Why don't I work with them? Who would be my best partners in that value chain, in that value network? Who would be my best partners to work with? There are companies which would buy the capacities of the other companies when they can't manufacture or they can't meet the demand of their products. And they will start manufacturing in those companies. So we have, the companies operating in Sri Lanka, like, probably Unilever, if they want to manufacture more sunlight, and they could buy the capacity from Harishchandra. Harishchandra might be not operating now with their soap, maybe a little bit, just to keep it on, so that they have that capacity to operate. So then who is going to be my partner in increasing my capacity? Of course, I need to maintain the high quality. Of course, I need to safeguard the, the business know-hows. With all consideration, then I should be working on those aspects of it. So that's your value chain. Yeah. Look at the benchmark. Now, this is where you need to identify certain elements, or maybe when the unseen material comes in, you might see certain things, or maybe where you can find in outside. You could benchmark yourself within yourself internally. Like, say, for example, what you do or how you answer your customers. Say, for example, if finance department is replying to their customers who ask any queries, like, whether what happened to the check, or whether the payment has gone through within one day, probably you as if you are working in a marketing and sales, also should be able to adopt that and tell them, hey, look, guys, we will be replying to our customers immediately. Internally, that you can do it. Your performance internally, last year, 2023, 2024, what was my sales growth? 2024, 2025, 25, what is my sales growth? Internally, I can look at my performance. That's one way of looking at things. The other way that you can look at things is like, you compare yourself with your competitor or in the industry. On the sector or the industry where you can compare yourself and then identify. Yeah, the first one is like, you as an individual, last year my salary was, let's say, I'm giving some hypothetical figures, 250,000. This year my salary is 300,000 rupees. Okay, very good. I've got a 20% salary increase. Brilliant. With this crisis, with the change in the value, I'm fairly decently placed. Or no, last year was 250,000. This year is still the same. There is no change, but actual my value of the money has gone down. I'm losing out on my disposable income. Then comes the next level. Oh, what is my friend who is working with me? What did he get? Oh, what is the how much the salary increase for Mr. Y working in the same similar capacity in my competitive firm? Or what is the sales increase what I had for 23-24, and what is the sales increase forget the market increase, but what my immediate competitor got. Yeah, market has increased by 20%. I also grew by 20%, but whereas my competitor grew by 30%. So that means he has captured some market share from some others, because I have managed to retain my market share, but he is able to capture the market share from some others. What did I do? The third way that you can manage is like you can manage your best in class, yeah, best in class outside your industry. Refueling, British Airways try to benchmark themselves with Mercedes. Apollo Hospitals benchmark themselves with DHL. Now you might wonder, like, okay, refueling same fuel, okay, how fast that you can refuel with accuracy, maybe some relationship is there, but then look at the Apollo Hospitals and the DHL. What is the DHL promise? The right package for the right person at the right time. What is the deal with Apollo Hospitals? The right operation to the right patient at the right time. Yeah, because that's what they want to do, because you can track it, right? With the airway bill number, you can track the DHL where the package is, whether it's in Dubai, whether it's in Colombo, whether it's in Frankfurt, which flight it is coming in, you can track it. Same way, every single passenger, every single patient was tagged, and the process was process was linked with the mobile phone, of the immediate next in king, to understand, like, the process that they are going through, which stage that they are in, like, whether the patient is recovering, patient is, with conscious, blah, 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 etc., etc. Now, whether it's bringing to the ward back again, etc. All those processes are visible, so that, everybody knows, like, it has the right process has been taking place. Your activity maps, it's very interesting. Activity maps gives you how competitive advantage is achieved, and you could see that relationship between the competitive advantage and the competencies. Now, you could see the links. Yeah, you could see the links, how this is for the Southwest Airline, one of the best airline, which it didn't go bankruptcy even after the 9/11 attack, because they keep the aircraft on air better than other airlines. Because the more and more that you're on air, more and more you get revenue, because the aircrafts they are built to fly, not to stay in the ground. So you can see 10 minutes turnaround. Yeah, very interesting, isn't it? Yeah, within 10 minutes you arrive, but within 10 minutes. Now, they work on a network. Flights are networked. Like, for example, like, they fly from Colombo, say, for example, from Washington, they fly to New York. Then New York, they fly to close by destinations. Then they go into another destination close by, 2.5 hours. So they don't come back again to the Washington or whatever it is. So it's like go on a network. Now, Sri Lankan Airlines goes on a hub and spoke model, isn't it? It goes to Chennai and come back. It goes to Malé and come back. It goes to London. I don't know whether it'll come back, but it has to come back. Yeah. So it goes to Paris and come back. It goes to Frankfurt and come back. They go do Paris, Frankfurt, Colombo. Yeah. So they go to Melbourne and come back. So it's a hub and spoke model, whereas these guys go on a network model, right? So they don't come back. So there are more number of flights that they can take. So you could see how they could maintain one aircraft type They use only 737s. So they have the technicians who are trained for 737s everywhere. So they don't have to worry about a technician getting upset because they can carry another technician with them. Because that guy is also trained for 737, right? And one class of service, so there is nothing called first class passengers board now, nothing like of that nature. It's just open, right? Standardized boarding passes, there's no nothing goes through the agent, everything booked through their website. So cash collected prior, there's no credit. There's no financial cost. The financial cost, it doesn't matter because they're collecting the funds prior to the flight. Yeah. So fantastic system. You can see high employee morale, because they get, there's no link between other airlines. So, there's no baggage transfers, there's nothing of that nature. Yeah. So you go, you check in without any problems because you just carry only hand luggage. So it's very, because they are 2.5 hours flight, it's close by, 7 kilos you carry with you. So it's very on a very simple note. Yeah. So that's how they work. That's how they work, to make sure that they have the best timing done. Now we saw the strengths and weaknesses through our internal analysis. Identify what are the critical ones. Yeah, which would give you, like, when you say which will give you the when you say critical ones, the what gives you the competitive advantage. Then you look at your opportunities and threats externally. Externally, you look at the opportunities and threats. Then what do you see is, like, which one is going to impact me the most? What is it? Yeah. Is it my existing rivalries? Is it my political connections? Is it my technology that I'm weak off with? The advancement is so high. Is there an opportunity for me to take, or is it a threat? Yeah. So which impacts me of me growing? Yeah. So that's something that you need to work on, and that's something that you need to look at. That's something that you need to work on to see how what will happen to your own in the organization, what you're analyzing, where they are, right, where they are going to work off it, right? So guys, what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to stop at this particular point because I know it's like almost 9. So I'm going to take few questions, and I'm going through the okay, going through some of your questions, what is being asked. Hi sir, is safe criteria, sustainability, accept should also be mentioned. Yeah, sustainable, that is suitability, acceptability, and feasibility. SAF, I will make a note for you all next time when I come in, so that I'll work on that. I don't think anything else I have seen before that particular note. That's one. Okay. Nusra, I will work on your scan step. I don't think I can explain in detail over here, but I will work on a what do you call, on a document and send it across to you, send it across to you all, so that then you can have something but you can look at. But if you search for ScanStep, you will find. Sanka was asked the same question, so Sanka will do the same thing. Yeah. Can familiar, good. Yes, of course, the presentation will be shared. He will share the presentation for whatever the work that we have done. He will share it off very soon. Yes, Cage framework, we'll have a chat. We can have a chat tomorrow, next class, next session. So I'm taking the notes down. So I'll be working on Cage. I'll work on that's also it's very similar to the cultural aspect of it when you go outside your country to look at. So that is possible. Understand, Chandu, link in the case is more effective. Yes. The way I look at the case, where you look at the case might be different, but yeah, we will try and work tomorrow. Yeah, STP is good. Strategic drift comes with your culture. Strategic drift comes with the culture, which I will talk to you all next class, next session. I will talk to you all next session as well. Yeah. Anoja, yeah, branding is possible. Branding is possible. Let's get into the marketing perspective. You're looking at tactical element, Anoja, there. We are looking at more of because when you look at the STP, you are looking at the tactical elements. Yeah, you are looking at when you look at the branding perspective. Branding perspective is brand communication, the positioning aspect of it. So that's like on the tactical aspect of it, the marketing aspect of it. When you look at the 4 Ps, it gets into that bottom of the the strategy list. You are looking at a overall picture, the bigger picture, which is more of your corporate level, because the corporate level you talk about where I'm going to operate, what are the direction I'm going to take, what are the portfolio I'm going to carry, how I'm going to grow. Yeah, on a corporate level. Then on the business level, you will decide, okay, am I going to go on differentiation, or am I going to go on hybrid, or am I going to go on a on a cost leadership style? Yeah. Then once you decide, once you have that particular element in, once you have that kind of an element, then you go down and say, okay, look, my competitive strategy is going to be differentiation. So I'm going to now talk about brand positioning. I'm going to position my brand. Okay, these are the ways that I'm going to work things out. So probably on marketing per se, I would use this promotion. These are the places that I'm going to be. Yeah. And this is the price what I've decided to go. And then this is the product with the differentiation. That's what I'm going to give. Yeah. So that kind of an element comes in. So it is a mix of the overall perspective. Good question. Good question. Cultural web. Yeah, you could talk to, you could have a look at cultural web, the elements in it. You're looking at the stories, you're looking at the symbols, you're looking at heroes and heroines, and you could have. So that is like having that impact on your culture. Yeah, what are things that impact on the culture? Yes, true. Now, does the organization have any cultural perspective to work things out? If you're looking at going into another country with the culture, I would even ask you to look at Hofstede, uh, the elements which might be useful when you're looking at a bigger picture. Internally, yeah, if you want to identify your own culture, maybe the cultural web could be a element to look at. Yeah, I understand, Sampath. Uh, that's the best thing is look at the 10 elements, 10 topics that these people, your case is built in. Try and draw the line between those 10 elements. Yeah, try and draw the line between 10 elements. What is the link that you see between those 10 elements? Yeah, where are you looking at? What are, so ideally what you should do is like, you should have few key notes identified from those 10 elements and put that on a A4 sheet and draw the links, draw the lines, whether this is connected to this, whether this is connected to this, whether this is connected to this. Then you will understand where the organization is thinking of moving, why this information is being provided, what kind. But believe me, as I said at the start, don't go with a close-ended, idea. This is what the question is going to be, right? Never do that, because if you go with that framework, if you get something different, because your unseen could be totally different, guys. Okay, unseen could be totally different. So therefore, don't go with that framework, right? So that's my experience. So therefore, you need to be absolutely careful on what you are going to work off with, right? Okay, Nandika, that's a very good question. What do you mean by, okay, sustainability is something that where your business continuity comes into play, right? How you could sustain your business, how you could sustain. Now, say for example, let's say you are a company who is manufacturing and selling, let's say garments. Okay, let's say garments. And let's say especially you're specializing in skirts, yeah, for example, right? So what do you as an entrepreneur, what do you want? You want continuous business, yeah, and you want continuous business and the growth in business. That's exactly any organization. You just look outside from any industry. That's what they want, isn't it? They want continuous business and they want the growth in business. That's what they want. That's what they are operating in. Yeah, that's what they promise, right? So you as a skirt manufacturer, you need to identify and understand, and you need to sustain that your whatever the business that you're doing has to be sustained. Yeah, you should have that sales. Now, you manufactured a fantastic long skirts. Yeah. So things went around. Okay. You go to Nadika. She has some fantastic long skirts. Business is booming. Suddenly the rain comes in. Okay. Suddenly the rain comes in. Now you need to identify. Yeah. Oh, during the month of May, April, May is anyway, it's monsoon. Yeah, it could continue in June also. So month of May and June until your Posan, it rains. Yeah. So during that time, people wearing long skirt is going to be minimal. So ideally, you understanding the external market, you understanding the external perspective, if you keep the long skirts in your shelves, nothing is going to be sold because nobody is going to come and buy long skirts now because it is raining. So you are not be able to sustain your business. You are not going to be able to continue your business because you have failed to understand how the external conditions work. Now, if you are able to identify, look, right, these 2 months, I know, so therefore I must not stock more in by April, I should be able to sell off. By the New Year season, I should be able to sell off the long skirts. So for May and June, probably to July, I can hold on with my short skirts. Yeah, because that's what I could sell because there's a climate change coming in. Yeah. So you identify the external perspective and now you are able to continue sales. You're able to continue to sell. So you're sustaining your business. Yeah. Even on the long time perspective, you can continue your business. And because it's simply because you have understood about that external factors which could have an impact on your business. And definitely rain is something that would have an impact on your clothing. Yeah. People don't want to buy. Now, suddenly, let's say you have stocked it up and in month of June, no rain expected. Now everybody is looking for long skirts. What do? You can stitch them together and make the long skirts to go off with, or you can get the more long skirts coming in. So now this is where the sustainability becomes important, yeah, to the continuation of your business. Now, if you don't, what is competitiveness that you're looking at? Where you are being preferred better than your competitors. Yeah. So what are the changes that you're going to make? How you are going to make those changes? So if you can do that, and if you can continuously build your business, and that's what you go on with. Anton, no, I will not be predicting any scenarios. And no scenarios that I'll be predicting because that's not the way that we go about. So we go through next session. That's why I put that the indication what I've given. The 10 areas we will be looking at the critical perspectives on the 10 areas, 10 topics that which has come in, so that we will able to identify whether it's we were able to work on the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats, and probably we will be able to work on certain strategies that out of the case, what we see, what we can move on with. Yeah. So not any scenarios that I'm going to work on with. Yeah. Right, guys. Any questions coming up? Anything else that before I wind up? So Sunday, think of staying a little bit longer. I know that I'm meeting you on Sunday, but it's okay. Only this year that we'll be working on with. Yeah. Good point. You're talking about internally. Yes, internally the management. Now this is where the change perspective, what I talked about on the implementation aspect would come in. Identification of their management style also would be helpful to see whether that's the right style, whether it requires on expansion or continuation. Yeah. So Sunday at 2:30 we'll meet. Yeah. And hopefully, I'm sure that you have enough data. So try and, as I said, try and do a mind map, guys, with those 10 areas. Yeah. Identify area number 1, whether they are talking about any opportunities, whether any threats, any strengths that they're talking about, any weaknesses that they're talking about. So identify, that will be the most critical aspect of it. So then with that information, probably then you can develop certain strategies. You can sample it out, so that when you do the actual case, then you might see the uh, yeah see the possibilities, that how you could answer the final paper. Yeah. Yes, we will do that. Yeah, we will do that. I had to call as with a no name. I had to call like the at the jail, no? 88 35 38. Yes, we will do that. Okay. Okay, guys, if there is no other question, um, kindly show us the first slide. First slide. Now the 10 areas. Oh, that's in your that's in your case. Okay, hang on for a minute. So next week I'm planning to cover the with your information, with your details, what you have. So I'm also will be I'll be prepared with the uh, your SWOT matrix, and then we will be uh, working on the strategic choices and the strategy in action. So we'll work on that particular perspective. Yeah. Yep. I was just waiting for any more questions. So since there's no other questions, we can wind up, right, guys? So I'll see you all on Sunday at 2:30. Yeah. Take care. God bless.